Well, if you had it with illegals coming here, does that mean you don't have a heart? Tonight, Fox on top of something so over the top, I'm going to try to straighten this out once and for all. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm Neil Cavuto. And it is one thing for news organizations to just stop using the term illegal, for some Democrats to say the very word is racist, for NBC's Matt Lauer to urge viewers to share their thoughts on the border mess by tweeting, and I quote, hashtag refugee writers, for Nancy Pelosi to say we don't even have a border mess because apparently we don't have a border. Does this woman even have a brain? Did she really say this isn't a crisis, it's an opportunity? She did. That this whole $3.7 billion fix for tens of thousands of illegals just dumped on us is an opportunity? Really? And those who don't see it that way, they're the ones who should go away? The ones protecting our laws, not the ones coddling those breaking our laws? They're the bad guys? Those who prefer illegal to the more politically correct undocumented alien? Those who prefer American border to Nancy Pelosi's America's border? They're not real Americans. They're not even real human beings. That because they tire of throwing good money after bad, they're just bad. They're racist for wanting to stop this. They're inhuman because they have the nerve to say what we're doing isn't humanitarian. They're Satan for simply saying stop. Stop. Just stop. Stop and think. It is one thing for the mainstream media to change the language, but it cannot change the truth. And the truth is, we've got a crisis of epic proportions and a president and compliant party and media in epic denial. Pathetic, but a pattern, whether it's about illegal immigration.
I think race has something to do with the fact that they're not bringing up an immigration bill. I've heard them say to the Irish, for just you, this would be easy.
Or about anyone criticizing the health care law.
People who've made up their mind that they don't want it to work because they don't like the president. Maybe he's of the wrong color, something of that sort. I've seen a lot of that.
Really? My friends, this isn't about the color of anyone's skin, maybe just the thickness of it, and the thick skulls of some liberals who time and again fall back on it. No, you are not heartless if you say enough is enough. You're clueless if you don't. But those are just my thoughts. Use hashtag Cavuto, not hashtag refugee writers, to tell me your thoughts. All right, to Cincinnati, Ohio's former Republican mayor, Kenneth Blackwell. We've got Tea Party activist Katrina Pearson here, and a radio talk show host extraordinaire, and so much more, David Webb. David, end with you, begin with you. What did you make of all this brouhaha now over causing a dust-up over dust-up? You're a bigot.
First of all, no words are racist. It's actions that are racist. So throw that away. But let's add a complicit partner to this. President Nieto of Mexico now violates his own laws in Article 33 of his Constitution and says, hey, guys, we're going to give you 72 hours to cross from Guatemala to the U.S. So now the U.S. President, Nancy Pelosi, the left, the open borders crowd are actually complicit with the Mexican president in this crisis that they have created. Neil, I've been saying this all along. They were working together. And here we are. The facts are the facts. It's a problem not of being a humanitarian or being compassionate, but do you want to be falsely compassionate up front or in the long term compassionate by helping people fix their problems? There are problems in South America. They've been there longer than Obama's term. They've been there for decades. I was around in the 80s. I'm that old. I remember the problems in Honduras. I remember the cartels then, the juntas in other countries down there, and they have to deal with those problems. We give them, the president promised $254.6 million to El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, those are the countries. It was for repatriation efforts, help increase their efforts. We're not repatriating anybody. Why are we giving taxpayer dollars to countries that actually don't use it, and then the hundreds of millions that go to Mexico? The long-term compassion is to say to these people, yeah, if you've come across our border, we'll treat you, we'll take care of your immediate medical needs, then we're going to turn it around and send you back home. Why? Because we're not even giving our veterans the care we should be giving them.
That is a very good point.
Let's contrast Lackland Air Force Base with 300 people, nurses making $5,000 a week, versus giving care to our veterans and our homeless.
You know, Mayor, Nevertheless, those who are opposed to what the president is doing and planning, it always comes back to them being either heartless or clueless or both. When in fact, I notice far more compassion shown to those who aren't even supposed to be here than taxpayers footing the bill to make sure all is okay with them while they are here.
The left and Team Obama are on their game plan. Hardworking Americans who are concerned about protecting the integrity of our elections through the use of voter IDs, are called those who want to restore, Jim Crowism. Those who want to exercise their First Amendment right to religious liberty, whether it be Hobby Lobby or the Little Sisters of the Poor, are said to be waging a war on women. And now we have this situation where people who want to uphold the rule of law are considered to be heartless. Well, they are on their game. We have to be on our game. We have to stay focused on the facts. We have to stay focused on the truth, and we will win this. But we cannot let their narrative win the day. Lewis Carroll, through Humpty Dumpty, said, "He who defines is the master," and that is what they're trying to do. They're telling the American people, keep your eyes, your lying eyes at home, and shut down your brain, and accept this narrative that those who want to uphold the rule of law are in fact heartless and
what's happened though, Mayor, to that point, and Katrina point, I'll pick up with you, and you and I have chatted about this before. We've changed what is reality. When the media now, I think it's the LA Times, the Associated Press, don't even use the term illegal because they find it offensive. And there's a real reluctance on the part of others to even frame what's going on the border as a crisis. Then there are a lot of impressionable people who hear that and say, well, maybe it's just a fixation on the right or on the part of Tea Partiers. Maybe it's not so bad after all. Maybe the fact that tens of thousands come here in buses that are processed on our dime, and there's no sense or sign that we can get them back to where they came from, or for that matter, whether anyone will take them back. You got to start wondering who's the crazy one here.
Well, absolutely,
You're absolutely
Neil.
right.
We're
Katrina
dealing with
first,
this. We're dealing with this firsthand here in Texas. And I can tell you that the leadership of Texas has a perfect opportunity to create the narrative that's happening because, as you mentioned in your opening, these are not refugees. The Dallas immigration lawyers dealing with this case are saying that fleeing from the drug cartel is not a reason to come to this country and stay. So what they've been able to do is to teach these people to say that they're fleeing an abusive parent, which by the law gives them the right to come in and stay in this country. But here's the thing. The people that are being bussed into our communities, Neil, they say, oh, it's about the children. These children are hurt. They're fleeing. They need help. Only 1/5 of the people that are being bussed into American cities are children. And let's talk about these children for a second. We just found out some of these children as young as 8 years old that are being processed as child refugees are members of MS-13, a violent street gang. And some of these people have even admitted to helping torture and murder people in their home country.
And I'll give the benefit of the doubt that there's over legitimate stress cases, threats of by drug lords and the rest. I'll even try to buy that. What I won't buy, and this is something I want to pick up with you, Dave, is this notion that if you're against spending more money to address a problem, you're somehow callous. I mean, by that definition, the trillions we spent on the war on poverty, the guy who raised his hand and said, stop adding this because we had just as much poverty, just as many hungry Americans, it's got to stop. No, that guy is a callous SOB. It's got to stop.
No. Look, money is what the liberals want to throw at this. Money is what Obama claims will fix the problems. He wants $2 billion for the problem here in the U.S. with the latest influx, $3.7 billion. By the way, it costs about $4 billion to actually build a fence. Why don't we apply that? Why don't we bottleneck it? They're trying to conflate compassion and money as if they solve the problem. If you give money, it's compassion. Neil, the economics of this are reality for Americans. It costs states like New Jersey $2.7 billion plus a year. That's medical and education for illegals. It costs about $24,000 per illegal in benefits on average across the country. Average income $15,000 to $17,000 by some reports. That means we're losing money And so economically, we're on Fox Business. This is a bad idea. Let them fix the problems in those countries. Work with them instead of just giving money to their repatriation when we don't repatriate.
Here's what worries me, Mayor, and I'll let you have the final word. We have framed the debate now about money. It's sort of like we do with infrastructure. You're not for more money on infrastructure, then you're stupid, because we need to fix our roads and bridges when we can't account for the $125 billion each year we spend, presumably, to fix our roads and bridges. So it's always the same old argument. It's always the same old saw. How do you respond to that? As a mayor in Cincinnati, how did you respond to that?
Look, I respond to it by saying this is about American sovereignty. You know, this is about stopping this nonsense about voters without borders. Now we, in fact, see that voters without borders have, in fact, led to us erasing our borders. Our borders are so porous that we put Americans and families at risk. And we cannot let them get away with redefining what the issue is. The issue is about our national sovereignty and the rule of law.
All right, well put, guys. I want to thank you all. In the meantime, remember when I say the mainstream media is in lockstep with this? Not everyone in the mainstream media. And that's why it causes enormous ripples and then waves and then tsunamis when one, a very, very influential one at that, says this must stop. Mr. President, you're the emperor who has no clothes.